The three-body problem. Humans lie. It's just part of our nature. We lie when our wife asks if she looked fat in that dress. We lie to our bosses, to our kids, and to Congress. It's so normal we barely notice. But in Liu Cixin's sci-fi trilogy, The Three-Body Problem, lying is an utterly terrifying concept to an alien race known as the Santai, or Trisolarans. Contact is first established during China's Cultural Revolution. The disillusioned astrophysicist Ye Wenjie secretly reaches out to the stars and invites the Trisolarans to Earth, hoping they'll fix humanity's problems. The Trisolarans are a telepathic species who communicate by directly projecting thoughts through electromagnetic waves. Thought is speech, so deception is biologically impossible. So when they finally grasp that humans can say one thing and think another, they panic. A species capable of hiding its true intentions is, to them, an existential threat. So they cut off communications entirely. The Trisolaran homeworld is unstable, locked in the chaotic gravitational pull of three suns. It swings unpredictably between chaotic eras and short stable eras, causing repeated civilizational collapses. Facing eventual extinction, they set their sights on Earth, a stable refuge, and, conveniently, home to stinking liars. It's practically free real estate. So they send an invasion fleet that will arrive in 450 years. To weaken humanity in advance, they send sophons, super-intelligent computers compressed into protons, enabling them to spy on the entire planet and scramble scientific experiments into meaningless nonsense. Meanwhile, the Earth Trisolaris organization, a secret fifth column led by Ye and funded by oil heir Mike Evans, creates the three-body VR game to recruit sympathizers. Centuries later, Earth builds a massive space fleet to fight back. The Trisolarans respond with a single droplet, a near-indestructible probe that slices through 2,000 warships like a warm knife through butter. Only 2 survive. Humanity realizes that their only hope is the Dark Forest deterrence. If attacked, they'll broadcast both civilizations' coordinates to the cosmos, inviting annihilation by an even more advanced species. The Trisolarans understand mutual assured destruction and agree to a tense truce. But the Cold War scenario eventually breaks, and the Trisolarans attack Earth's broadcasting capabilities. But a lone Earthen ship responds by sending information about both their locations into space. The reply is brutal and instantaneous. A planet-sized object is hurled at one of Trisolaris' suns, vaporizing the system. For Earth, a dimensional weapon arrives, the dual vector foil, a weapon the size and shape as a piece of paper, and it collapses 3D space into 2D, wiping out almost all of humanity. So what did we learn? Well, for starters, there are always bigger bullies in the cosmic playground. So maybe the smartest move is to stay very, very quiet and not send the universe your address. Oops. Ultrakill. In the game Ultrakill, humanity is gone. It's never explicitly stated why, but the age of man ended after a centuries-long period of warfare known as the Final War, followed by a shorter period called the New Peace. But it probably has something to do with the invention of gigantic ecological terror weapons and the blood-fueled machines. Either way, Earth is now empty of life. With blood supplies on Earth exhausted, several machines, including the player character, V1, descend into Hell in search of fresh blood. Luckily, Hell is filled to the brim. During the war, the river Styx, now filled with the souls of the wrathful, overflowed and became an ocean. Humans had discovered hell before they disappeared. A literal hell, structured like Dante's Inferno. Layered rings where sinners are punished according to their sins. But hell isn't just a place. It's a sentient, super-intelligent, massive, sadistic superorganism that entertains itself by watching the suffering of those trapped within it. It was created by God in a moment of frustration and despair at humanity's defiance of his rule. According to the Testaments, hell quickly grew too powerful for even him to unmake. Regretting his creation, God vanished, leaving heaven without a ruler, making the Ultrakill universe so disturbing that even God noped out. Hell's torture methods are inspired by humanity's own cruelty. During the final war, humans built monstrosities like the Earth Movers, giant war machines whose environmental destruction ended the conflict. Hell was so inspired, it recreated them in its own image. And the terrifying mannequins are based on the Guttermen, machines made by humans, powered by prisoners, trapped in coffins on their backs, their blood siphoned away in a steady flow. In God's absence, heaven is ruled by a self-serving council, busy feuding with the Archangel Gabriel. V1 isn't a hero either. It's driven by hunger, hurting everything in its path to feed. On its descent through hell, it battles mind flayers, stalkers, the ferryman, King Minos, the Minotaur, the Leviathan, and Gabriel himself. The story isn't finished yet, but it's hard to imagine a happy ending. Equilibrium. If you mixed 1984, Fahrenheit 451, and Brave New World, then injected it with The Matrix, lowered the quality quite a bit, and then cast Christian Bale to lead, you'd get Equilibrium. In this dystopian future, humanity has survived World War III, and now decided that emotion itself is the enemy. Joy, sadness, and anger, all of it is outlawed. Citizens must take daily injections of Prosium-2, a drug that suppresses all feeling. Art, music, literature, anything that stirs emotion is burned. Those who dare to feel are labeled sense offenders and executed on the spot. The world is ruled by Father, a totalitarian figure who is totally not Big Brother, who broadcasts propaganda through giant screens. His regime is enforced by the Tetragrammaton Council and the Grammaton Clerics, elite gun-wielding martial artist enforcers trained to annihilate anything or anyone that threatens emotional control. It's not just a police state, it's a chemically enforced psychological lobotomy for an entire civilization. What makes this world so bleak isn't just the brutality, but the complete erasure of human interiority. There are no rebellions of passion, no subversive artists, no dangerous ideas. Even grief has been systemically outlawed. The very things that make us human are criminalized. Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is an animated sci-fi series that blends cosmic horror, absurdism, and dark comedy. It follows Rick Sanchez, an alcoholic supergenius, and his anxious grandson, Morty, as they travel across infinite universes, constantly reminding us how utterly meaningless everything is. The show is built on a fundamentally nihilistic worldview. If infinite universes exist, then everything that can happen has happened, and will happen somewhere. There are infinite versions of you, one who cured cancer, and one who tripped and died on a banana peel. Some are better, some are worse. In a cosmos like that, nothing is unique, nothing is sacred, and no one is special. This philosophy plays out through some of the show's darkest moments. In one episode, Rick and Morty accidentally Cronenberg their entire world, mutating everyone into monsters, so they abandon it, bury their own corpses in the backyard of a near-identical universe, and move on. Consequences are meaningless when there are infinite backups. Rick's spaceship battery is powered by an entire micro-civilization whose inhabitants unknowingly generate energy for him, while they themselves exploit an even smaller universe below. When they stop producing electricity, Rick threatens to annihilate their entire universe just to keep his car running. And in the very same episode, a sentient ship emotionally tortures soldiers just to guard a parked car. You can live entire lives in a simulation and reset your life at checkpoints like it's all a video game. The universe of Rick and Morty is not a nice place to be in, and the characters reflect that. Rick, Morty, and Summer are deeply toxic and emotionally abusive. Beth blames everyone but herself for her stagnation, and Jerry is weak and parasitic. And some people from the more extreme fan base are equally insufferable. Akira. Akira takes place in a world where psychic children can wipe entire cities off the map. The Espers are children who were part of a secret government experiment to harness and study psychic abilities, and it worked, a little too well. One of them, Akira, developed godlike powers that triggered a singularity, obliterating Tokyo and igniting World War III. His remains were eventually contained and frozen deep underground. 31 years later, Neo Tokyo has risen from the ruins, a buzzing cyberpunk dystopia of neon lights, biker gangs, military conspiracies, and political decay. Beneath its sci-fi spectacle, Akira is a tragedy about a society that failed its children. Kaneda and Tetsuo grow up as orphans, finding belonging in a biker gang, reminiscent of Japan's real post-World War II Bosozoku youth. Tetsuo, small and constantly beaten down, grows up feeling powerless and humiliated, until a chance encounter with an escaped Esper unlocks the terrifying abilities within him. That is, after the government kidnaps him and experiments on him. After escaping, Tetsuo's unstable powers spiral out of control, mutating his body into a grotesque mass that threatens to consume Neo-Tokyo itself. The Espers return to awaken Akira, unleashing another singularity that teleports Tetsuo to a different dimension. But the singularity engulfs much of the city, a catastrophic mirror of what happened to Tokyo. Akira is a haunting reflection of post-atomic anxiety, a world where power and technology advance faster than our ability to control them. Diablo. Before the Diablo series even began, there was only Anu, a perfect godlike being who sought to purge all evil from himself. When he cast out his dark half, that darkness took form as Tathamet, a seven-headed dragon. The two fought for eons until they destroyed each other, and from their corpses, the universe was born. Tathamet's body became the burning hells, and his three strongest heads became the prime evils: Baal, destruction; Diablo, terror; and Mephisto, hatred. And Anu's essence became the high heavens, ruled by the righteous Angiris Council. Thus began the eternal conflict, angels versus demons, forever at war over the World Stone, reality's core. Tired of the endless slaughter, the angel Anarius and the demon Lilith stole the World Stone and created a secret refuge, Sanctuary. Here, the renegades made a bunch of babies together. The Nephilim, the first humans, beings so powerful they threatened to surpass both heaven and hell. This unprecedented power terrified everyone. Inarius wanted to wipe out the Nephilim, while Lilith saw them as a potential godlike army. So they went to war against each other, and were both defeated. But not before the World Stone was altered by Inarius, dampening the Nephilim's power and causing their descendants to gradually forget their divine origins. And that is when the true horror began for humanity. Humans are now as a whole near powerless, trapped prey. Both angels and demons see Sanctuary as a strategic tool, or a costly mistake, and invasion is constant. Entire cities are consumed overnight by hordes of demons, ghouls, goatmen, and spiders, and every single road is a death trap. Even the forces of good are monstrous. In a desperate bid to end the war, Malthael, the Archangel of Death, massacred an estimated 90% of humanity, believing that eliminating the Nephilim strain would remove all demonic influence. It failed, and in the aftermath, the high heavens simply abandoned Sanctuary, closing their gates. Through all the suffering, the loss, and the cosmic indifference, there is one constant nightmare: Diablo, the Lord of Terror, who always managed to return. BioShock. Rapture was supposed to be a paradise, an underwater city built in secret by billionaire Andrew Ryan, who dreamed of a world with no government, no religion, no morality, only ambition and freedom. And scientists, artists, and visionaries flocked to it, mirroring the world presented in Ayn Rand's novel, Atlas Shrugged. Then they discovered Adam, a genetic substance harvested from sea slugs that lets you rewrite your DNA. Want to shoot fire from your hands, or maybe change your face? Adam can do that. But Adam is addictive and slowly rots your mind and flesh. So demands soar. And then some industrious scientists kidnapped little girls and implanted sea slugs into their stomachs, increasing production. These children became little sisters, innocent-looking but brainwashed, wandering the halls, harvesting corpses for Adam, drinking blood to feed the slug. To protect their investment, Ryan created Big Daddies, ordinary men, lobotomized, mutilated, and fused into massive diving suits. They cannot speak and they live in constant agony, but if you touch their little sister, they will destroy you. Then came the Civil War. A revolutionary named Atlas led the poor against Ryan. Both sides unleashed splicers, citizens driven insane by Adam. Rapture collapsed in on itself, and the few sane survivors hide behind barricades, while monsters roam the halls. The Lobster. Okay, so you're single. Sucks, right? Well, at least no one's turning you into an animal for it. That's the entire premise of The Lobster, set in a dystopia where being single is literally illegal. Newly single people are sent to a hotel and given 45 days to find a partner. Fail, and you're transformed into an animal of your choice. David, the short-sighted man, chooses a lobster for its longevity, fertility, and blue blood. He checks in with his dog, who is really his brother, who failed the program. At the hotel, love is reduced to superficial traits. Oh, you also have a limp. Let's get married. A common lisp, nosebleeds, or a love for music is enough, and at the same time essential. And people fake these traits to survive. David tries to pair with a sadistic woman who kills his dog to test his reaction. He tries to fake indifference, but the death of his brother is too much to fake. So he is caught lying, forcing him to flee into the woods. But not before he transforms the woman into the animal no one wants to be. In the forest, he joins the Loners, an extremist group that bans romance entirely. Love is punishable by mutilation. David falls for the short-sighted woman, and they invent a secret language to hide their love. But they're caught, and their bond is shattered when she's blinded, severing their shared trait. In the final scene, David stands in a restaurant bathroom, preparing to blind himself to match her. The screen cuts to black, making you wonder if he did it or not. The Lobster is bleak because it exposes how society pressures people to conform romantically, through rules, deadlines, and arbitrary compatibility. At least in our world, a bad date doesn't turn you into a flamingo. Alright, that was part 6. Let me know in the comments which universe you think is the darkest and why. Thanks for watching. Cheers.